What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics. Today we got a reaction to the Cranberries and their second album, No Need to Argue, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Carl. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. We couldn't do it without the patrons. Got a free trial going on. Go over there and check it out. All right. We did their first album. I'll put a link to it down below. But this, as I already mentioned, is their second studio album, released in October of 1994 through Island Records. It's the band's best-selling album and has sold 18 million copies worldwide. Just never going to see sales numbers like that again in the streaming world. The album's mood is considered to be darker and harsher than that of the band's debut. Everybody else is doing it, so why can't we? An album, by the way, that I loved, released a year prior. Number 1 in Australia, Austria, Canada, France, Germany, New Zealand, Spain, Sweden. Number 2 in Ireland and UK. Number 6 in US. I tell you that to tell you all over the world. Most albums don't hit even when they're big hits all over the world like that. In some of the songs, the band decided to take on a rockier and heavier side, using distortion and increasing the volume. Drummer Fergal Lawler said the musical change happened because after 2 years of touring to promote their debut album, quote, "We had been used to hearing ourselves loud on stage and everything, so maybe that's a natural thing that happened then." In 2009, it was ranked number 90 on Billboard magazine's 300 best-selling albums of all time. Let that sink in for a minute. That's crazy. All lyrics are written, of course, by the late, great Dolores O'Riordan. All music is composed by O'Riordan and Noel Hogan, except where noted. The music will not be in the video, but it will be at the Vimeo link below, so click on that and follow on with this. Before we jump in the first track, I owned this CD back in the day, but as I did in the CD era, I only listened to one song. You can probably guess what that is, but that's not going to be the first song. First song is going to be Ode to My Family. The second single, it was a hit in Oceania and several European countries, topping the charts in Iceland and reaching number 4 in France, 5 in Australia, and 8 in New Zealand, 16 in Ireland, 18 in Scotland, and 26 in the UK. Interview with the LA Times, Dolores explained, "It's about childhood, family, and how important they are. It will appeal probably to people who have left home and realize that the teenage life is gone and you can never get it back. Suddenly you appreciate everything your parents did for you, even though at the time when you were a teenager, you just couldn't stand them. Then you're older and you realize how cool your parents were and how nice your childhood was." I haven't really gone through that with my kids, so hopefully that never happened, but it goes, that's usually the way it works. All right, guys, I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Carl. Song is great. Dolores was the youngest of 7. I mean, there were 9, but 2 of them died as infants. And, this really is an autobiographical. I won't go into it. I did a ton of research on this album, but I've tried to whittle it all down for you guys because it's a longer album, so this video isn't super long for you guys to watch it. This song is absolutely fantastic. I love Dolores' voice. Maybe one of my favorite voices of all time. I'm not saying she has one of the best voices of all. I'm just saying for me, I love the tone. I love the fact she doesn't just try to take the Irish out of her voice and out of her inflections whenever she's singing. I think it's great. Next up, we got I Can't Be With You. It was the 3rd single, except in North America, where it was released as the 4th and final single of the album. It achieved minor chart success in most of the European countries where it was released, peaking at number 21 in their native Ireland, 23 in the UK. In Iceland, it reached number 1 for a week, becoming their 3rd consecutive number 1 single there. Hey, man, the Cranberries, huge in Iceland. Let's go. All right, I Can't Be With You. Not only is Dolores a great singer, as I was just talking about in the last track, but she's also a really, really good songwriter. And this song, I Can't Be With You, but it goes into details. It's about what you think. She's heartbroken, but she says, verse 2, "I wanted to be the mother of your child, and now it's just farewell. And I can't be with you." It's just a fantastic song, man. Next up, we have 21. All right, 21. It seems like she's a little empowered maybe in telling this person no more. I don't know if she's 21. I mean, I'm guessing maybe she turned 21 and she feels empowered that she's going to take control of her life. I'm not exactly sure. I like the arrangement on this. The instrumentation, the arrangement with the Cranberries is always really well done. So I didn't like this as much as the first 2 songs, but still really good. And now we come to a song with almost 1.4 billion with a B streams, which is always amazing for an album that was released in the early to mid 90s. So obviously people weren't coming to Spotify to do it when the song was popular. So for a song, an older song, to get over 1 billion streams is very, very rare. We got Zombie. Of course, the song that I would put on repeat on my CD player back in the day. It's a protest song written by Dolores about the young victims of a bombing in Warrington, England, included during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. It's the lead single. Look, I got some info on this, but I mean, there's an insane amount of info on it that I'm not going to share with you. While Island, the record label, feared releasing a politically charged song as a single, it reached number 1 on the charts of Australia, Belgium, Denmark, France, Germany, and Iceland. It did not chart on the US Billboard chart, but it reached #1 on the US Billboard Alternative Airplay chart because they didn't release it as a single, so it couldn't chart on the Hot 100. The US has weird rules. It hit number 14 in the UK, 3 in Ireland, so it didn't even hit #1 in the home way. Listeners of the Australian radio station Triple J voted it #1 on the 1994 Triple J Hottest 100 chart, and it won the Best Song Award at the 1995 MTV Europe Music Awards. In April 2020, it became the first song by an Irish group to surpass 1 billion views on YouTube. It's not about the 1 billion streams on Spotify, 1 billion views on YouTube. Dolores stated the song came to her subconsciously midway through the Cranberries English tour in 1993, writing the core chords on her acoustic guitar. Once she was back in her hometown of Limerick and returned to her apartment after a night out, she played those chords and started building a song around them quickly, quote, coming up with a chorus which is catchy and anthemic and soon moving on to the verses. She took the song idea, originally titled In Your Head, which makes sense, right, into the Cranberries' small rehearsal shed in Mungret. Given she was playing an acoustic guitar, the rest of the band initially followed along in, as guitarist Noel Hogan put it, that kind of sweet indie pop song that the band featured in their other songs, before Dolores decided it was not what she wanted, picked up an electric guitar and stated, quote, it needs to be heavy because it's angry. Drummer Fergal Lawler recalled that usually in that small room, you're trying to keep it low because you don't want to deafen anybody. But Dolores played it loud and we couldn't really hear the lyrics because she was singing through her guitar, and that the singer was adamant that she wanted more distortion pedals on the guitars and asked for more strength than usual in drumming. Look, there's all kinds of stuff on the song. There's all kinds of people that came out in support of it. There's all kinds of people that came out against it. There's certain areas that banned it. It's a very complicated issue that even though I read a ton about it, I can't speak authoritatively to because I'm not from England or Ireland. And so I don't even try to dabble in these things because I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody not knowing the facts. Too many people in this world start talking about stuff that they have no idea about and talking about it like an authority. And I sure as heck don't want to do that. But I'll tell you one thing. You either love this song or you hate this song. I don't think there's any in between. So let's get it. All right, look, this isn't going to be any hot take, but this song is just mind-blowingly excellent. Like all of it. You know, when you listen to it in this environment, I mean, you know the song, you start to tell a lot of it's just shouting zombie, zombie when you're listening to it. You know, it's such an earworm, man. It sticks in your head like very few songs ever. But the arrangement of it that Dolores came up with as well, if you were paying attention when I told the story before the song, and I'm sure you were, right? So, like, it's incredibly done, the power of it. And I never knew what this song was about. I mean, even when you're singing the lyrics, when you know what it's about, it's that much more powerful. But this is just a masterpiece of a song. Like, it's fantastic all the way around, every bit of it. And obviously her inflection, zombie, all of it. But yeah, the golly, man, it's fantastic. Next up, we got Empty. All right, she's empty. Singing that song in an interesting cadence like Zombie, right? A little different way, a little different twist on it, arranged very nicely. She's kind of lost herself. We don't really know why, but well done. Next up, we got Everything I Said. Everything I Said, another well-written song. You know, interesting arrangement. I always like the arrangements. I like the vibe that it builds. And Dolores sounds great. All that said, this song kind of meanders along for me a little bit. It's definitely my least favorite. And it's not a bad song, but it's a longer album. So far, this is the song I've heard that could have been cut. Like I said, it's not bad. Next up, we have The Icicle Melts. It's inspired by the murder of Jamie Bolger, who was kidnapped, tortured, and murdered by two 10-year-old boys. In 1995, an article on the magazine Vox told that the song would appear to be a reaction to the murder of Jamie Bolger. I love children, affirms Dolores. You know, kids, they're so innocent, so afraid, and they're the future of the world. How can people harm them? I mean, golly, there were two kids that harmed him too. I mean, that's crazy, man. Okay, as I'm reading on Genius, which I do for lyrics, as I click on that part, it talks about, you know, it's that name, Jamie Bolger by name, but I guess he was 2 years old. So if all that information is correct, golly, man, no wonder, you know, and she talks about the mom's pain, which she does on a lot of these songs, right? So I find that interesting, but you feel the emotion in Dolores' voice. Well done. Next up, we have Disappointment. All right, Disappointment. Some nice harmonizing and backing vocals on that to kind of enrich Dolores' voice even more. Not that she needs it, but, you know, the instrumentation of this whole album is just of the day. It takes me right back to the 90s of a time and place where I was a much younger man, obviously, and just a different, more simple life in a lot of ways. You know, it's fine. It fits on this album. Nothing standout on it, but this guy disappointed her, and they're not together anymore. And, you don't want to disappoint somebody like Dolores who can not only sing but write a good song or a great song. Next up, we have Ridiculous Thoughts. Fourth single, third in North America that is flipped. 20 in UK, 23 in Ireland. The lyrics were written about her problems with British press and journalists. In an interview for Hot Press in January of 1994, Dolores said, quote, "You wouldn't believe how many men there are in the music industry who look at a woman in a sexual sense and just want to try it on to get you into bed. Even people that you once respected and that you thought valued you because of your mind, your soul, your talent, end up wanting you for only one thing, and that can really be disappointing. You know that they're secretly saying, she's a great head and a powerful figure. I wonder if I have any chance," end quote. And worse, some of them want to possess you, which is even more frightening. One song on the new album, this one, Ridiculous Thoughts, is about people you once thought were people you respected until you realized their minds were filled with trivia. Once, what I was saying in the last song, do not cross Dolores. She will barbecue you. Not hard-edged, but harder edged than a lot of the previous tracks here and here. Starts out with Twister. "Oh, does anyone see through you? You're a twister or an animal, but you're so happy now. I didn't go along with you're so happy now, but you're going to have to hold on. You're going to have to hold on, or we're going to have to move on." It's a really biting song, man. Great lyricism on here. She's making her point. All right, we got 4 tracks left. We got Dreaming My Dreams. In an interview with the Irish Times in January of 1994, Dolores said, "The only song on the new album which reflects my new life is a song called Dreaming." Dreaming My Dreams, a very well done song, fantastically written. Basically saying she's with it. I'm sure it's to her husband. Well, I'm not sure, but I'm going to guess it was to her husband. That I'm going to be here. It doesn't matter. It's out there. It's out there. If you want me, I'll be here. I'll be dreaming my dreams with you. There's no other place that I'd lay down my face. I'll be dreaming my dreams with you. And Dolores famously, her story, I won't go into all, but she really struggled with the fame. When they first started playing live, like very early on, she wouldn't face the crowd. And then eventually she turned sideways a little bit. So she never was really comfortable with the fame. The fame came very quickly. The first album exploded, and this album obviously really exploded. So, she just wanted to withdraw. One of the reasons why they broke up in the early 2000s is she just wanted to withdraw and just be with her family, which I could totally get. Next up, we have Yates' Grave. Dolores explained her motivation to write this song in January of 1994 when she was doing all those interviews with Hot Press. "I was really into Yates' poetry, so much so that I wrote a song called Yates' Grave. The first time I went to Sligo and saw where he is buried, I loved his passion, the dreamer he was, and the fact that he looked beyond the material world to matters spiritual, which is really representative of the Irish people as a race." She went on to say, "I just loved him as a human. He was so passionate and just wrote what he felt. I always found it difficult in school because I loved Yates' poetry, but I wasn't into analyzing it. I just had my own understanding of it. Me as a poet myself, a young girl who writes. I write my own lyrics, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm writing my own poems in verse. And it might not be over-intellectual, and it mightn't be 50 pages and have big words and, clauses and all this stuff in it, but I'm just writing what I feel. And as far as I'm concerned, Yates just wrote what he felt. But then you sit down at your exam, and it's like, where does he use similes in this poem? And where is he being ironic? I'm sure when Yates wrote his poetry, he didn't want kids to look for the irony in it. I'm sure he wanted young people to sit down and go, wow, that's cool. I really understand that." I just thought that was a great quote. And I think it makes 100% sense. I think sometimes we take these great things, whether it's poetry, novels, music, movies, whatever it is, and we try to analyze it in a way academically that it was never meant to be. And it takes away the beauty of it. But that's my 2 cents worth, and apparently Dolores's. Yates' Grave. So first she's talking about him. Then she reads part of a poem when the voice changes. And then she's talking about this woman who turned down marriage proposals 4 times from Yates and mentions another locale of Yates' poetry. So this is really a personal song that she wrote because she loved Yates. It's fine. It's different. It's almost more cinematic than musical. There's musical in there, obviously. It's music, but, it's fine. Next up, we have Daffodil Lament. The song was chosen by fans as the best non-single song of the group and was released on Stars in 2002. In a 1995 interview, Dolores said, "For Daffodil Lament, I had all these ideas about tempos changing like a symphony." So when I did this research, I was excited to hear this. If fans picked this as the best of all their albums, the best non-single, let's get it. Yeah, a very interesting song chord structure-wise and just the way it's arranged. It's a good song. I wouldn't say in the limited, I just know 2 of their albums, it's their best non-single. But I'm also listening to these things one time, so you got to remember that as well. But it was really well done, and it's also just a kiss off to this guy. So let's go. And lastly, we have No Need to Argue. I actually have a song reaction of this song. I think this is a perfect song to end this album off. Look, there's songs that are much better arrangement-wise, much better vocal performances because the song's a minimalistic song. It's not supposed to be either one of those things. But I think it's just a gorgeous song. I think it's just fantastic. And it's a great segue into my favorite tracks. Look, there's 13 tracks. There's going to be a lot of favorite tracks. Honorable mention, I Can't Be With You, Ridiculous Thoughts, and Dreaming My Dreams. Favorites, they're going to seem obvious because they are, but they're great songs and well-known for a reason. This last song, No Need to Argue. And then, of course, Ode to My Family and Zombie. Now we come to my overall score. It's an interesting one to score because, as I mentioned, there's 13 tracks. It's a bit bloated, as almost everything from this time period is, so you can't really fault them for that. There's no bad songs on here. The arrangement and just the tone, I didn't mention everybody else, but everybody on this. The instrumentation's fantastic. The arrangement's fantastic. Like I said, it's just a vibe that puts you in a different time and place. I don't think it's consistent as their debut album, which I don't want to ruin it for you if you haven't watched that review. Please do. The info's down below. Much different time and place. It was years ago that I did it. I gave that album an 8.0, and this album is probably also an 8.0 because it's really well done, and the highs are very high. And the lows are not very low. So it's well done. We could have cut out 3 songs and it would have been better, but you could say that about any album of this time. But if I had to choose one, I still like their debut better. But this is really well done. And we lost Dolores way too soon. Just a fantastic artist with a great history. Go read her wiki if you haven't. So well accomplished, so technical, just great. But thank you to Carl for bringing this one. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up. Hit that big red subscribe below. Don't forget to check out that Patreon link where you can get a free trial. Till next time, guys, I will see you.